It is 11 p.m. You just asked her one small question, nothing dramatic, and she went quiet in a way you have never quite seen before. No sigh, no softening, no explanation. She looked at you for a second too long, then looked away. And in that half second, a thought crossed your mind that you have probably never let yourself finish. What if you spent this entire relationship loving two completely different people, and you have no idea which one has been real? By the end of this video, you will know the exact difference between a woman protecting herself out of fear and a woman managing you out of control. And more importantly, you will know which sentence out her mouth actually proves it. Here's the part that catches most people off guard, and it is the reason this confusion never resolves on its own. From the outside, these two women look almost identical. The same silence, the same distance, the same refusal to explain herself in the moment. But one of them is quietly trying to survive closeness, and the other is quietly trying to control it. And if you cannot tell those two apart, you will keep making the wrong move for years without ever knowing it. You have probably sensed this confusion without ever naming it directly. Maybe you notice she goes cold after a disagreement, and you cannot tell if she is protecting herself or punishing you. Maybe you notice she rewrites what happened afterward, and you cannot tell if that is fear talking or something colder. Maybe her apologies feel hollow sometimes, and you have wondered if that hollowness is self-protection or performance. If any of that sounded familiar, keep watching, because the answer is not in the silence at all. Here is the thing almost nobody explains clearly enough. Behavior alone will not tell you the difference. Silence looks the same on both faces. Distance looks the same from across the room. The difference does not live in what she does. It lives in what happens underneath it. And in one specific thing she does a moment there is no one left to manage, a moment most people never think to watch for. If that sounds like something you want to use as a quick label so you can stop feeling confused, stay with me, because that is exactly the wrong use of this information. This is not a video telling you every quiet woman is secretly a narcissist, and it is not a video telling you every difficult moment is trauma that deserves unlimited patience either. Both of those shortcuts protect you from doing the actual work of paying attention. And stay until the end, because the one moment that actually separates these two people is not the fight itself. It is one sentence she says afterward, and it is almost never the sentence you would expect. Let's get into it. An avoidant woman's silence is built out of fear, not control. Somewhere early, she learned that needing something openly or reacting honestly in the moment cost her more than staying quiet did. So her nervous system built a habit long before she had language for it. Retreat first, explain later, if at all. When she goes cold after conflict, she is not thinking about how to make you suffer. She is thinking about how to stop the internal alarm that closeness has started to set off. Her withdrawal is defensive. It is a wall built around something soft, not a weapon aimed at someone else. The rewriting she sometimes does afterward is rarely calculated. It is usually confusion, her own memory smoothing over a moment that felt too intense to hold on to clearly. This is the part people usually get right about avoidance, and it is why so many viewers already recognize it. What almost nobody clocks is the second pattern that can wear the exact same face, and once you see it, you will not be able to unsee it in your own relationship. A covert narcissist silence is not built out of fear. It is built out of image management. Her withdrawal is not protecting something soft underneath. It is protecting a version of herself that must always remain blameless. When conflict happens, she is not overwhelmed by closeness. She is offended by accountability. The silence that follows is not a nervous system trying to calm down. It is a strategy, sometimes conscious, sometimes not, to make you feel like the one who caused the damage, so you become the one who has to repair it. Here is where it gets genuinely difficult to tell apart, and where most people quietly give up trying. With a covert narcissist, there is rarely one clean trigger either. There is a slow accumulation of moments where she was quietly wronged, at least in her own retelling, until she has built an entire private case against you that you never knew existed. The difference is what that accumulation gets used for. For the avoidant woman, it becomes a private overwhelm. She tries to survive alone. For the covert narcissist, it becomes evidence, something she deploys later to reframe the story, so she is never the one at fault. This is where most people make one of two mistakes, And almost everyone watching this has made one of them already. Some assume every difficult woman is secretly manipulative, becoming suspicious of ordinary fear-based withdrawal and treating a frightened person like a threat. Others assume every difficult woman is secretly wounded, excusing genuine manipulation as trauma because it is more comfortable to believe you're loving someone broken than someone unwilling to see you clearly. Picture it up close, because this is the moment that actually gives her away. You finally get her talk after a cold few days. You ask what happened. An avoidant woman, given enough safety, will eventually say something imperfect but real. Something like, I got scared and I did not know how to say it. A covert narcissist, in that same moment, will often say something that sounds emotional but somehow still ends with you owing her an apology. Something like, I would not have had to shut down if you had not made me feel so unsafe. A sentence built to sound vulnerable while quietly reassigning the blame. Read that difference again, because it is the entire video in one line. What she says when she finally speaks again is closer to the real answer than anything that happened during the silence itself. The avoidant woman's words, once she trusts you enough to say them, carry ownership, even if it is clumsy and incomplete. The covert narcissist's words carry performance, emotional language used as a tool to end the conversation on her terms, not to actually resolve it. There is one more moment worth watching closely, the one you were promised at the start of this video, the moment that happens when there is genuinely no audience left, when she believes no one is checking on her reaction at all. An avoidant woman, alone, often softens. She second-guesses herself. She worries she went too far. She sometimes reaches out first once the fear passes, because underneath the wall was always a person who did not want to lose you. A covert narcissist, alone, rarely softens in that same way. She tends to reinforce her own narrative instead, replaying the story until she believes her own edited version completely, so that by the time she resurfaces, she is not returning with guilt. She is returning with certainty that she was right all along. So here's what actually matters, whichever one you're trying to understand. This is not a diagnosis you make from a single night. It is a pattern you notice across many of them. Does she eventually offer you something honest, even if it takes her time to get there? Does accountability ever exist in her mouth in any form, even a small one? Does your patience ever get met with movement toward you? Or does it only ever get met with a longer list of reasons it was never her fault? If she is avoidant, the honest path is steadiness without pressure, proving over time that closeness does not have to cost her the safety she is protecting, giving her room to come back toward you without treating her return as owed to you. If she is a covert narcissist, the honest path is different, and it is harder to hear. It is not more patience. It is paying attention to whether accountability ever actually arrives, and being willing to accept the answer if it never does. Neither path means diagnosing her overnight, and neither one means abandoning your own perception to keep the peace, because the goal was never to catch her in a single moment and decide everything from it. The goal is to watch what she does when there is nothing left to gain from performing, and to trust that pattern more than you trust a version of her that only shows up when someone is still watching. That watching starts right now.